Hey, it's Dawn Hendrix, CEO of FM Talent, and today's episode is called Ghosted by the Government. Now, I know that may sound dramatic, but if you've ever applied for a federal job or a government contractor role supporting a federal agency, if you ever waited for months for a clearance or sat on a verbal offer with zero updates, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. So we decided to use this title because it captures the emotional reality of what so many talented professionals are experiencing right now. You apply, you interview, you get the, "we're excited to move forward," and then crickets. It literally feels like dating someone who was love bombing you and then suddenly disappeared. Hence the title, Ghosted by the Government. But in this episode, we aren't venting. We want you to understand you're not alone. It's about really just understanding what's happening behind the scenes, and then most importantly, what you can do about it. So whether you're a Fed or a government contractor looking to get into a federal agency, this episode is for you. So let's just start talking about why federal hiring is so slow right now. And I've got to be honest with you, I've been doing this for about 21 years. Federal hiring has never been fast, but right now it feels like molasses in January. So I wanted to just share with you some things that may be going on behind the scenes. First, budget gridlock. Agencies cannot hire if they don't know what they can spend. So we have this thing called the continuing resolution every year, and we've got the budget debates that slow approvals for federal positions or for government contracts being awarded. Another thing that we see are just around the security clearance backlogs, especially for cleared roles. So if you're in a secret or top secret role, those folks are waiting 12 to 18 months. But I'm just focusing on our discussion today, the NACI background, which is the lowest level of a background clearance. But even that is taking up to 6 months and beyond in some cases. We're also seeing some hiring freezes. There are agencies that are hitting the pause button while they reassess internal staffing needs. And then the classic resource gaps. Some teams are just short-staffed due to the reduction in force and don't have the manpower to process new hire transactions. So I want to share with you an example, and we'll call her Lisa. So a real life example of one of our rock star candidates that we were bringing on board for a government contract. Lisa is PMP certified. She's clearance ready. She's sharp as a tack. We gave her a verbal offer in November, and she didn't start until June. That's 7 months. So here are some things that we're seeing on the GovCon side that are impacting or creating delays. First, the clearance process. It is just a long process in and of itself. There are other things that are impacting it, which is the paperwork ping pong. And so I'm going to give you an example of something that we really have seen inside our organization. And this happened to one of our employees. They submitted their forms. We were waiting patiently. And then months later, Months later, we're told that the forms have been updated. We were sent the new version of the form, and the candidate had to start the process all over again. Another example of this kind of paperwork ping pong is the approver resigned. So the person that was on the security chain, approval chain, resigned, but their emails remain active for months. So critical emails, clearance emails, were just left unanswered and stuck in limbo with no one monitoring the inbox. So these are actual things that have happened in our processes. And so it's really important that we try to do everything in our power to prevent further delays and to keep folks like Lisa engaged. So I want to share with you some things that we do to mitigate delays. These are, again, things that are within our control. So the first one is we tell our new hires to complete the federal forms thoroughly. So we advise them not to leave any blanks. If you're unsure about a question, ask, because incomplete forms will be returned again and again until they are right. The other thing that we advise people, our new hires, to do is set aside time for the equip process. That equip system is no joke. So you need to block out a few hours to complete it. Make sure that the addresses and the phone numbers are accurate, because if an investigator can't reach your references, then it will further delay your process. And then, as I mentioned in the example a few minutes ago, use the latest forms. Always check the official website for the most current version of any form, because we have found that using outdated forms can reset the entire process. We also advise our candidates not to leave their current job until they've cleared the security process, which on a good day takes 2 to 3 months, and more recently is six plus months. We also do the regular check-ins every couple of weeks, and this is to keep the lines of communication open on both sides, so with the candidate as well as with the customer. And we'll also often invite a new hire to virtual team huddles. So even if they're not officially onboarded, this is something that we do to help that new hire feel like they're a part of the team. We send them pre-onboarding, information. It's usually a simple email with some FAQs, org charts, even messages from their manager. This can help create excitement and more importantly, to reduce anxiety. And I kind of want to shift to some things that the actual candidates can do while they are waiting, because I believe that waiting doesn't have to mean doing nothing. So first, I'm going to say just keep applying. It's important that you're not putting all of your eggs in one basket, because you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Secondly, I'm going to say stay in touch, right? You should regularly be checking in with your recruiter or your agency point of contact every 2 to 3 weeks. And I'm going to advise you to be polite but persistent, right? So making sure that you're getting some information or just having some checkpoints into whomever your points of contact are. The third thing I would advise is network. LinkedIn can be your best friend. So comment, connect, let folks know that you're available. And then finally, I think skilling up is really important. So this is a perfect time to take some of that training you might be putting off, or to gather or obtain some additional skills that may be useful to you in the new job that you are interested in. And truly, there are some inexpensive training vehicles like LinkedIn Learning that you can leverage. And a pro tip, most applicant tracking systems have a saved search feature. So it allows you to get alerts for roles that match your skill set and let the jobs come into you. I guess this last piece is for the hiring managers. So, if you're a hiring manager or listening from the agency side, this part is going to be for you. We know that your hands are sometimes tied, but the truth is, silence loses talent. So, if you want to keep great candidates, it's important that you communicate early and communicate often, even if it's just to say, we're still waiting. The other thing it's important to do is be transparent. So, if it's a hiring freeze, just say so. And then lastly, don't ghost after the offers. This is how you really lose trust and talent. So, my final thoughts from today's episode are yes, hiring is slow. Yes, the clearance process, they're backed up, but you don't have to stay frozen. You don't have to stay doing nothing. Use this time to build your skills, to build your network, to build your mindset, because when that offer does come through, you'll be walking in the door 10 steps ahead. Have you all been affected by hiring freezes or clearance delays? And if so, how are you staying motivated? So message me on LinkedIn. I'd love to hear your story. And don't forget to subscribe to the FM Talent Blueprint on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And until next time, keep showing up, stay patient, and stay ready because your moment is coming.